A combined effort from multiple sources gives the Utah Jazz an end to their 4-game losing streak with a win in Orlando tonight. And we're talking about it coming up on POSTCAST. David Locke, along with Ron Boone, as the Utah Jazz beat the Orlando Magic by the final score of 131-124 in a night in which picking 2 stars is going to be brutally hard because multiple guys made plays tonight and multiple guys came up at different stretches of the game. But I want to point out and start it with our post-game guest tonight on the show, Simone Fontecchio, because this is a guy who's getting his chance to live his dream, play in the NBA, and then all of a sudden couldn't make a shot. And, you know, the nice thing about where the Jazz are right now in the season is you let guys play through that. Find out. Don't make decisions on guys through 4 games. A lot of people are, you know, what's the value of the last 17 games? Well, let Simone play 18, 20 minutes every night. Let Talen learn how to play point guard. Let Lauri develop as the number 1 guy. We're seeing these things. And Simone is working his way out of what was a really miserable, 3 of 22 3-point shooting slump. And feeling as though he didn't have any value and probably wondering whether he belonged. I mean, all sorts of things. And he really was terrific tonight for the Jazz.
Really terrific. Got 22 minutes tonight. And David, it's very hard when you're a scorer, when you're a shooter. You know you can shoot the basketball, and it's just not going. And you start struggling, you start pressuring, you start rushing shots, you go back to mechanics, doing certain things to make sure that everything is working for it. So I guess baseball, they do that as well, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's no different. And when you know you can shoot, the basketball is not going in. But he's been able to stick with it, and I think minutes on the floor has really helped him.
So the Jazz tonight jumped. They led by 1 at the half. They led by 8 they led by 1 at the first quarter, 8 at the half. They then jumped out to a 15-point lead. It felt like they were running away with it, and the game was tied by the time we got to the fourth quarter. They allowed 41 third-quarter points to the Orlando Magic, and we went down to the clutch up by 2 or 3. And the Jazz, this is really remarkable, Ron. Since trading Mike Conley, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the Jazz have played 7 clutch games. They're now 4-3. Like, this crew, with Talen playing point guard and having never finished games, and Walker being in there who's never finished games, and Ochai who's never finished games, and Lauri who's never been a number 1 guy before, they're 4-3 now in late game situations with this roster. There were some really interesting coaching moves by Will Hardy tonight too.
Yes, there was.
That we'll get into in a second. That was super interesting, but it's really an impressive performance by these guys, and the fact that they're fighting through this as shorthanded as they are.
They really are, and every player I think has had for the most part, has had some moments out there on the floor because of the combinations that Will is putting out there, to getting a chance to shine or to make some things happen. But right now, you can just see that developing and giving guys a chance to play some valuable minutes is it's just short of being necessary, or
right.
But that's probably what they're going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, some of these things are being done out of necessity because you don't have guys. But, I mean, Ochai playing 31 minutes tonight. He went 2 of 11 the other night. We were wondering, how does he bounce back from that? Like, one of the things Will said to him is, like, let it rip. And you're going to have bad nights, and I still believe in you, and I want you to come back the next night and play. And I thought he played with a great level of aggressiveness tonight, and I thought he played really well. And he's probably not even one of the guys we're going to highlight because so many other guys had a good night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this was a good ball game, I think, for the guys to not for the guys, for Will to experiment with certain lineups out there on the floor.
All right, before we get into all the individual performances, I do want to get into one of the coaching moves that happened in the game, which was because Wendell Carter Jr. is hurt, and the Magic are now 7-15 when Wendell Carter Jr. doesn't play. He's kind of vital to their team. Late in games, they've been playing Paolo Banchero as the center, which is different. And what they do with him is they play him as the center, and he takes the ball and basically plays the pick and roll. And so then he usually gets a pick from the point guard, teams switch, and then a diminutive point guard is guarding Paolo Banchero, and he's too strong, and his body's too big, and he goes to the basket. They tried it against the Jazz tonight, and Will Hardy had Walker Kessler guard Markelle Fultz on the play, so that when Fultz set the pick, Then Kessler was guarding Banchero, who is the center. The Jazz anticipated it, played it before, and if you ever need an example of Will Hardy's preparation, the staff's preparation, that was it right there. It was a really interesting moment in this game.
Yeah, you could just tell that Will wanted Kessler guarding Banchero. By the way, as you just mentioned, when they put Kessler on faults, that meant that they were going to back off of him and dare him to shoot the basketball. I mean, there's a method to, whatever they're doing out there defensively. But the big thing is keeping Kessler in a defensive position to the point where he can protect and serve.
Will's press conferences are getting really interesting and insightful, and one of the things he talked about tonight was that they had basically had Walker Kessler play one style of defense all year long up to this point so that he could learn his fastball and what it is. And then now they're going to start putting him into different defensive circumstances so that he can kind of learn and begin to understand how to be a more well-rounded, more versatile defensive player so they can really build the defense around him. We saw that tonight. He guarded Gary Harris. He guarded Markelle Fultz. They did a lot of different things with him tonight.
Future preparation. That's that. I think this can't be said any different than that. There's future preparation for a guy that they have a lot of confidence in, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Offense will come. They'll continue to work with him there, but it's just future preparation. And to get to the point where, David, you guard different guys out on the floor, you know their strengths. And Kessler is one of those guys that probably pays a lot of attention to to guys to the point where the next time I play this guy, I know that I can do this and I can do that.
Walker changed the game in the first 3 plays of the game. He blocked Paolo Banchero on one of the first attempts of the game. He blocked Franz Wagner and Mo Wagner trying to dunk. And by halftime, the Magic had taken 19 floaters and only 7 shots at the rim. He altered the game in the first 3 plays of the game.
Yeah, he blocked in that first quarter. He blocked 3 shots, and from that point on, it was all about where is he when they was able to drive to the lane. The Jazz ended up with 8 block shots, and 3 of those coming from Kessler.
All right, let's get into a few other guys tonight who were. And by the way, then Walker really may have saved the game with 2 offensive rebound dunks. The Jazz, since the trade, the Jazz are the second best offensive rebounding team in the league, and offensive rebounds late in the game are so valuable. The one common thread right now of all the good teams is a defensive rebound. Offensive rebounds late in the game are so valuable. If Walker can be an offensive rebounding force late in games, that is a massive thing for the Jazz. And their 2 misses tonight, they got offensive rebound putbacks from Walker, one of which he got fouled and finished, and then made the free throw. The other one he just jammed it home. Those were probably, I don't want to diminish Kris Dunn's baskets or Lauri's baskets, but those were probably the 2 biggest baskets of the game.
Without a doubt. That rebound, that offensive rebound that Kessler got in traffic and was able to put it back in the basket. And we watched him beat him up, before the ball games and prepping him for things like that to happen. And that saved the ball game. That put the Jazz up 4 with a free throw, and that immediately.
Yeah, the free throw put him up 5, which was
up 5. Yes.
Yeah, which was the big free throw.
Right.
There. So the Jazz, it was so it's 124-123 with 37 seconds left. The Jazz are up 1. Abaji misses the 3. Kessler gets the offensive rebound basket and makes the free throw to put the Jazz up 4. So that was mammoth. It was 120-118, 2-point game with 2:24 left, and Lauri Markkanen misses and Kessler dunks it. So both times, the Magic would have had the basketball with a chance to either tie or take the lead, and Walker Kessler dunks it to prevent that from happening. That's about as big-time clutch offensive rebounding plays you could have there.
Yeah, and you could, and why is that? Well, they went small. They put Banchero at the center position with 6'10". 6'10".
Yep.
Doesn't necessarily play big, and Kessler took advantage of that.
All right, what did you see out of Talen Horton-Tucker tonight? 23 points and 9 assists for him. Also a steal and a big 3 to open up clutch time.
I like the direction he's going because I think he's getting better. I really think he's getting better at being a point guard. Sometimes his low percentage shots, you wonder about those, but you can just see that Coach Hardy is not necessarily telling him not to play his game, and that's that's his ball game. But he ended up tonight tied with Kelly Olynyk. No, he had one more assist than Kelly Olynyk tonight. Kelly had him with 7, and he ended up with 8. So the big thing for him going forward, David, is learning how to, if he's going to be a point guard, is making sure he can set up players, get them into the offense, and set up guys that to score. I've watched him run a couple of plays out there, and they kind of got a little confused, but I think it was all Jones's fault because he wasn't in the right spot, and you can see that Tucker backed it out and got into something else.
Kris Dunn hit 2 big floaters late in this ball game, had another really solid game off the bench, 12 points. He had 9 rebounds, he had 5 assists, he had 3 steals. He was just terrific. And then let's just not dismiss Lauri Markkanen. Another 31-point night, going to the basket late, attacking. I made the comment, he just never seems to be off balance by the time he's done with a drive. He can be in the drive, but when it's over, he's getting set. The defenses are flying by him, and he's pulling up for these shots. He's really figuring out how to be a versatile scorer.
Yeah, when he's doing that, David, he's driving real hard to the basket, and then, as you mentioned, he pulls up and lets the defender go by. And at his height, you're not going to defend that, and he banks it off the glass. So he does that, and he does it very, very well.
Jazz win it by the final score of 124 or 131-124, another high-scoring game in the NBA. All right, Ron Boone, I want to know who Lacey's stars are. Lacey goes with Markkanen and Kessler. Andy, these are our 2 most loyal listeners, goes with THT and Lauri. I don't know where to go for 2 stars tonight.
I'm going to put this out there. I thought in that fourth quarter that Dunn was the star.
Yeah,
in the fourth quarter.
I agree.
In the fourth quarter. Fontecchio had a solid basketball game. You like the direction he's going. You like to give him, a chance to get a star. But then you got Tucker and you got Lauri Markkanen.
And we're just dismissing Walker of the 2 biggest baskets of the game?
I'm getting to him.
Okay.
And then the guy that actually won the ball game for you was the center.
So what are you doing?
So what did Lacey have?
Lacey said Markkanen and Kessler. Andy said THT and Lauri. Lacey is wavering. He was now mentioning Talen Horton-Tucker and Dunn.
Okay. So see, she likes Dunn in the fourth quarter. I would like to. I think I'm going to take Dunn as well because I thought his play in the fourth quarter really gave the Jazz a chance to win this.
And that steal on Wagner was a big play too.
And that was huge.
All right, Dunn and
Tucker. Dunn and Tucker. I don't know. How about Dunn and Markkanen? Or Kessler?
have a